In my previous Solana video, I talked about how Solana is getting a little bit of a place of caution for me as it was below the 30 and 40 week moving average, and how investors should really take heed of what Solana was doing. Right here is what I'm talking about. Over the last couple of months, Solana has very rapidly dropped below the 30 and 40 week moving average, and I am mirroring this move as something similar to this move right here. And I laid out a scenario where Solana could come back up to the 30-week moving average, touch it, and get rejected, signaling that it is going to go down further, counter to a lot of other altcoins at this point in time. It's speculated that this was because it had such a good 2024 where it went up about 10x, where a lot of other altcoins did not do that, right? Solana was really in line with Bitcoin and went up a ton. And so this led me to believe maybe Solana's run was over and that we should watch the 30-week moving average as price rolls back into it. Now, I want to highlight this again because we're seeing a cup and handle form on Solana. And over the next couple days or the next week or two, Solana is going to make a decision of what is going to happen at this 30-week point. And I think you could either, if you're a Solana holder, you could have a good time to exit if it fails to get above that 30 week. Or if you're an investor, maybe invest in Cardano, maybe invest in Solana, maybe invest in Bitcoin and you're watching this video, you could possibly make a 20 to 30% move in a very short period of time. And that could be really good for your portfolio if you can find this scenario and take advantage of it as it happens. So let me show you what's happening. This is where we are today. Cup and handle forming. You can see how back here in 2022, a cup and handle was forming as well. There's a little bit of a difference though. This today is in the context of Bitcoin going up to new all-time highs, right? Back here, we kind of knew the bear market was setting in. And so there is a little bit of a different context here, but I think it is still worth looking at. Let's zoom in here. You can see just what I'm talking about. Solana is coming up, building a cup and handle against this 30-week moving average. And you can see over here, the 30-week moving average is at $182. The 40-week moving average is at $174. And today's price is $177. Today is Monday, May 26th. And so if you're watching this, I might release it on Tuesday or later tonight. Then you'll just have to see what the price is at that time. But we have our 30-week, we have our 40-week, and Solana is getting squashed between the two, which means it's probably going to have a very violent price action in either direction. Ideally, I think the cup and handle leads to an upwards reaction based on how Bitcoin's going into new all-time highs, but it is not for me to be deterministic. It is my job to react. The bullish scenario is price does break out to the upside here above the 30-week moving average and gets to about $190. At that point, you could buy Solana as it breaks above this 30-week moving average and catch that move on the way higher. Let's go look at another example of this back over here, where Solana, has made a couple cup and handles before. You can see back here in 2021, this could be considered a little cup and handle right here along this line, where Solana has come across and built out this right side here on this cup and handle. We'll get to a daily chart to show you some more of these, but the same thing also happened back down here. And these cup and handles are literally everywhere in crypto. There is so many examples of them. It's disgusting. There are so many on Bitcoin, so many in Cardano, so many in Solana. And when you have this really good price action above the 30-week and above the 40-week, these cup and handles get really bullish. The difference today is that we have our 30-week distributing horizontally, and we need to determine, is Solana going to make a cup and handle breakout to the upside or to the downside? Now, I also want to preface this by saying that the upside potential might not be as advantageous as a lot of people are leading on. I see a lot of things about a $500 Solana, a $1,000 Solana this cycle. I nowhere believe that any of that's going to happen. I have zero evidence that that's going to happen, and I really don't think that it's going to happen. The reason I don't think that's going to happen is that the market cap of Solana continues to grow. I'm adding the Solana market cap to the chart right here just to show you this. And you can see how back here in 2021, when Solana was hitting its highs, the market cap on this asset, if we pull this down right here, you can read this section right here. The market cap at this point was about $75 billion. Today, well, back in early 2025, when Solana was at about $295, the market cap was $122 billion. And so price really didn't grow that much, maybe 15%. If I remember right, though, 75 billion to 120 billion, this is about a 60% increase. And so as we see this market cap increase, price is going to struggle to increase dramatically further unless there's just a massive amount of inflows. We know with Bitcoin, it's hard to move the total market cap of the Bitcoin asset because so much money is required to move it 10%. When you have a $3 trillion asset, a percentage of that is like 10% is like 300 billion. And so it's going to take so much more money to move Solana as this token starts inflating further. I want to take you down to the daily chart now, and you can see here, this is the daily chart of what Solana is doing. We have this inflection point that Solana is running into, right? We talked about how it's running to the 30-week moving average. Well, on the daily chart, that lines up a lot of times with the 200-day moving average, or it is right here. Solana, the 200-day moving average is $181. Solana price is $177. Our 150-day is $165, and our 50-day is $151. And what you see here is Solana is deciding whether it should get above or below that 200-day moving average. Now, long term, the 200-day moving average is a really, really good point. You can see down here in 2023, the parabolic move started as Solana gets above that 200-day and above the 50-day. The same thing happens back here in 2020, 2021. As prices above both the 200-day and the 50-day, Solana goes upwards. You can see as it crosses below the 50-day, it's then retracing into the 200-day in a bull market. And then down here, at our bear market shift in 2022, price fell below the 50, and then it also fell below the 200 before coming back and touching that 200 and then ultimately going down much further. And so what do we see today? Today we see a decision point. I don't think that, to me, it looks like this cup and handle probably will have the ability to come out on the breakout upside. What I imagine happens here is this 200-day, now that we've come back up to it, is going to continue to cross, and this 50-day is going to come up here like this. Solana price is going to get squeezed in here, and it's going to make a decision. If it breaks to the upside, you could buy it at about $185 right here, and probably over the next, couple months, ride this upwards move up to about $250 again, maybe all the way up to about $280, right? That would be a decent price move, get you about a 30 or 40% move right there, 45% move at the top end and 35% move on the bottom end. Now, while I think that's totally possible, I think you have to consider that that might be the extent of where Solana goes this cycle. I consider still this area to be a stage 3 distribution top. And, flipping that 200-day price getting above the 200-day would be the start of maybe converting it from a stage 3 top to a stage 1 base, and then we lead into a stage 2. I just don't personally think at this time the crypto market has that much further expectation to go. And so what I probably imagine, again, this is me being deterministic, when really traders are reactive. We're reacting to price and changing things as this story unfolds. And so what I imagine happens is Solana does make this cup and handle, does break out to the upside, gets stopped out around $250, $260, $270 for the cycle, and then fails to put in a higher high above 300. If it does put a higher high above 300, maybe it goes to like 310 or 320. Nothing super crazy because the market cap is expanding so much due to token inflation, and then price will ultimately come back down and then start its new bear market. If price fails at this 200-day or the 30-week moving average right now and fails and comes back down, it can retest the 50-day, and then it ultimately can hold there, maybe come back up to the 200-day, or then ultimately fall below the 50-day, which would again get very, very bearish and signify that this is stage 3 top. So I think that there is some possibility of something really good happening here with Solana with the cup and handle, regardless of what you think about the tokenomics, the decentralization, the price, whatever, right? Meme coin, land, all this stuff, right? You should be watching this cup formed out with this handle right here. And then what happens at this 200-day line? If, price gets above here, I think you could realistically see it get back up here. Now, this wouldn't mean that Solana is going to go put in new all-time highs, right? It doesn't mean that it's getting super bullish. It means that this could still be a stage 3 distribution top. At that point, you want to see, what does Solana do up here at around the $250 to $300 range? Does it come up here to this all-time high line, set a new all-time high, and then, head up further after that? If Solana can get up here and test this area, right here around $300, then you could have a further decision of, is Solana going to actually enter another huge bull market, or is it going to that be the top and the final for this cycle? As of right now, I think we have to consider this is a stage 3 distribution top, much like it was a stage 3 distribution top over here. And I think that we are probably moving throughout these moving averages, waiting to see when this whole crypto market's going to do that capitulation on the total altcoin season, and then how that will turn into the bear market in 26 or 27, whenever it's going to happen. And so we see these distribution events. Here's a stage 3 up here. Here's a stage 1 down here. And then that leads us into another stage 3. The big thing that we're trying to figure out here is this going to be a new stage 1 where price is going to blast off to $400, $500, Or is this a stage 3 where price will eventually have to fall back down again, maybe around 50, 60, $70 again before resetting for the next cycle where Solana can then go to maybe $400 or $500? I think today you should be watching this cup and handle pattern. I want to make a video about it because I think it's very important. These cup and handle patterns, you see them absolutely everywhere. You can even see one right here as Solana breaks out of this level right here. You can buy that and make this little swing trade move. Down here, Solana has a cup and handle pattern or a VCP pattern right here. As price contracts against this resistance line, all you have to do is buy right here and ride that wave up for hundreds of percentages of returns. We have an example back here. We have an example back here. We have a cup and handle that fails right here in the 2022 top of, or the start of that bear market. And so what we're watching here is another beautiful cup and handle pattern on Solana. It's playing with the 200-day, it's playing with the 30-week. Over the next week or two, I think you should be watching to see what happens there. If it breaks out of the 200-day, you can put in a buy price. You can buy it at $185 and ride it up that 30, 40, 50%. Sell it either here, wherever price tops out. If price does break above the 200, and let's say it gets to $185, you buy in, it then goes to 190, 195 and starts to make its way back. At the point where if Solana price breaks below the 200-day again, you can simply limit your risk by selling all your position and letting it reset up again to decide what's going to happen. That's honestly what I think is happening with the Solana chart, and I think there's an opportunity to make money. I think that you can make a 30 to 40% move, maybe a 25% move. I don't necessarily think Solana is going to go up to $400 and $500. I would be very surprised if it was able to break this $300 mark, and I think that this is something that we'll have to watch unfold as this narrative continues. All right. That's what I'm seeing on the Solana chart, trying to be very unbiased, trying to be very technical and show you what is happening here. There's a position, there's an opportunity. We'll have to see if it breaks or fails over the next week or two. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like, subscribe, comment down below. In the description, we have the Crypto 100x blueprint. Go ahead and join us there if you want to learn more about this and how I've learned this, all absolutely free.